feel like it's so loud in my house. There's like TVs going, and I hope it doesn't come through in this recording.
My house is actually quiet today. But, excuse me, sorry, I just used my inhaler because I forgot to use it. I was driving to the trail to run. And I was like, well, that's going to be an interesting run. And yeah, I guess I'll do that when I get home. So I just did that. So if I'm coughing, I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, it's actually quiet today. But
That's nice.
I have to watch Miss Urinary Incontinence back here.
Oh, mercy. All right. Well, we're back. Welcome to TBR
Hello.
Lowdown.
Welcome back.
We are
We are we are
we are having a
discombobulated.
time. We are having a time today. But you know what? It's fine. It's perfectly fine. I'm
I think I'm
excited.
just rubbing off on you. So Miss Uber super duper organized lady is coming over to the dark side.
You know, I'm proud of myself though this morning because I really wanted to tackle cleaning off my office desk and all that good stuff and just kind of clearing out because my office then bleeds into my formal dining room and I wanted to kind
Yeah.
of start tackling cleaning, rearranging, shifting my dining room from like fall to spring/summer. So I got a good jump on stuff. Like my office is like halfway done. So I'm happy about that.
I've just been trying to survive.
You know, surviving is important.
If anybody who listens actually follows along on my vlogs, I think you've experienced the last 3 weeks of my life just being.
It's been a lot.
It's been like one pummel after another of just life punching me in the face, and I'm like, and none of them are truly terrible. It's not like anyone's died. I don't have cancer, but like,
Yeah.
man, you're really throwing me back a few steps every
I
couple
mean,
days.
anytime things break and they cost money, it's like,
Mhm.
ugh, wasn't intending on spending that.
Yeah, I actually have to I've actually had to contemplate picking up extra shifts this month sometime.
Ugh, yeah, because you got hit hard.
I did get hit hard, so
Watch her vlog and you'll see there's a moment where she falls.
it is
I'm not
perfect.
gonna lie, I love how you like did the slow-mo like 3 times. I was like, did she do this for me?
I did that because I was like, as I was falling, I was like, of course, I'm fucking recording myself falling on my ass. Of course I
But the
am.
fact that you just dove into it, I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna
This
give
is
them
how
slow-mo 3 times.
my life is embarrassing, okay?
It was
I I
hilarious.
am in my fourth decade, and yes, I'm still bitter about the doctor telling me that, and I'm just gonna embrace it. It's
Yeah,
funny.
that's all. That's all. Hey, a
Mhm.
quick pop quiz for people. I love a long vlog, and Alyssa is now doing longer vlogs. I'm that girl. Like if I see one of my YouTube faves and their vlog is like 45 minutes to like an hour and a half, oh honey, I'm in heaven. So those listeners out there, are you a vlog watcher, number one? And if you are a vlog watcher, do you prefer a short vlog or a long vlog? I'm just curious because I'm all about the long vlog.
As a vlog creator, I don't know how people make short vlogs and make them interesting
Mm-hmm.
because, like, I don't know. And I like a short vlog. I like a long vlog, but like, I just don't know how one makes a short vlog.
Every
Maybe I'm
time I
just
watch a
too
short vlog,
long-winded.
I feel like I need more. I always end up feeling very unsatisfied after watching like a 25-minute vlog. It
Mhm.
never, ever feels like enough. I always feel like I'm missing out on stuff.
I have no idea how long this week's vlog is gonna be. I have to wrap it up today, and I just don't feel like I have a ton of footage because we didn't really. I just feel like I was recovering from the Queen's Ball and our epic
Yes.
weekend, so I don't know. I don't even
Yeah.
know what there was to vlog. Like, I went to work, I'm tired, I read some books.
Right. Weaker recovery. If anyone out there is a Bridgerton fan, books or show, both, whatever, and you can look at Alyssa's vlog and watch our last episode, right, where we talked about our experience going to the Bridgerton Experience
Yeah,
Queen's Ball. If
yeah.
you have it in your area and you're a Bridgerton fan, we highly recommend you go. It was worth every penny. We had the best time. So just want to put that out there again. If the Bridgerton Experience Queen's Ball is in your area or somewhere close, where it's
Mhm.
drivable, go. It
Go.
was so much
It was
fun.
worth every penny, and I think coming out of this panty rammy, like, we needed like, this is
Oh,
what we
yes.
needed. We needed to get dressed up and not to see our family,
Mhm.
because someone's getting married or someone died or whatever it
Mhm.
is, like, we needed to get dressed up for ourselves, do something for ourselves, have fun for ourselves with our
So much,
friends,
yes.
loved ones, whatever, and just
Mhm.
enjoy our lives, and
Yes.
that was exactly what we needed.
I feel like it was a very restoring event.
Mhm.
It was wonderful. So, check your local listings
I
and see
really
if
do
it's
hope
in
they
your area.
keep it rolling because it was
Mhm.
just such a nice it was just such a nice thing to do. I feel
Yeah.
like we all needed that breather and we needed to just come together as strangers and be like, "You are beautiful."
And
Like,
that's what it was like. Everyone was so happy
mhm,
and just everyone was living their best life that night.
mhm.
I just it was unforgettable.
Everybody
I had a
went,
ball.
embraced it, like, the fact that we all bowed for the queen
We all bowed
without
for the
a
queen.
hesitance. We were like, "Oh."
Right. Which I love because it's like we were all in character, right?
We were.
It was it was wonderful. So kudos to I don't know whose idea was it. Was it Shonda? Was it I don't know whoever was like, you know what we should do to really keep this Bridgerton thing going? We should give people the experience of going to a ball. That was brilliant.
I think
Well
there's, like, an
done. Bravo.
unofficial Bridgerton ball that somebody was doing in, like, Melbourne or something like that. I saw that pop up
Oh,
in my
really?
feed, and I was like, "Yeah, like, keep it going, guys." Like, I
Yeah,
love this idea of giving adults a place to just play and have fun and not in the context. And the only time you get to do that is if somebody gets married, someone has a bar
exactly.
mitzvah, someone, and then you have all the other stresses on top of it. No, this is literally just for fun. This is like
Yeah.
prom for adults, and we need that. Like, we need just to have fun,
Well,
just
I'm gonna
fun.
tell you
It's like
now.
adult summer camp. We need more adult summer camps.
I would I'm telling you, I would love life even more if I had an annual ball to look forward to.
Yes.
I'm serious. Like that would just light up my old lady life if I had an annual ball that I was preparing for. So somebody out there make that happen. All right, let's get going with our wonderful, wonderful show.
Yes. So this week we are talking about something that is near and dear to my heart, and that is Sad Girl Lit. Oh, I love Sad Girl Lit.
Okay, define sad girl lit.
I don't. For me, Sad Girl Lit is like the sort of moody, not like other girl main character that's usually written by a woman, that feels semi autobiographical, where they're just frankly depressed and living in their depression, and you get to watch them make poor decisions slash grapple with their emotional like trauma, and it's got this air of melancholia that sorry, Rio is kicking in. And shout out to my asthmatics. And, but like I just it is just it's the best. I don't know. I don't know
That's
how
that's
to
a good
explain it
definition.
well, but like to me that's what it is. It's like you've got and I think when you start talking about the books,
Hmm.
um it'll make some sense, but it's this you've got all kinds of it. You've got like melancholia, you've got legitimate depression, you've
Hmm.
got your millennial quarter life crisis, and it's very raw and honest and harder hitting about those moments in your life or those periods in your mental health journey, um, than maybe some other books might be
Yeah,
about it, and it just kind of like digs in there into like that sad part.
yeah.
And sometimes there's a happy arc, sometimes there isn't. Sometimes it just digs into the sadness. And
Hmm.
I think it's okay for people to dig into their sadness. Like that's okay. Like it's okay for you to embrace the fact that you're sad.
Yeah.
Um I mean, you then have to come out of it and learn some like healthy coping mechanisms and all of that. But like it's okay to embrace that moment and feel all the feels and accept all the feels, and like you're totally normal to have those feels. And I think that's why I like Sad Girl Lit. It's like because I've been there. I've been a moody 20 something. I've
Mhm.
been a depressed teenager. I've had, I've had all kinds of
Yeah.
things, and we're not alone. So to me,
That's a
that's
great
Sad Girl Lit.
definition. I think that explains it for the people out there who may be wondering
Excuse
what
me.
is sad girly, because I have noticed lately, especially on Bookstagram, there's more talk about sad girl lit,
Hmm.
and I feel like more articles are being written about sad girl lit as well. So, a very timely show. As for whatever reason, the topic of sad girl lit is just kind of at the top of a lot of minds right now. So,
So I think that like a lot of women mask a lot of their mental health things. And I think
mhm,
maybe in the last 10-ish years, you've started to see like women embracing and speaking out about their actual emotions and feelings so that it's out there on the table now. And I don't know if it always was. There was, you kind of had to have that Stepfordy wife kind of take your Valium, don't have feelings,
yes,
smile, like everything's fine on the outside, and don't let anybody know how much you're breaking inside.
mhm,
And I don't think that we subscribe to that any as much anymore. I'm sure there's pockets of people, but I think there's a
yeah,
cultural shift to being okay, not being okay, and I love that.
mhm. Because then, if you're okay with not being okay, then there's a greater chance that you'll actually get some help.
Yeah.
Because as long
C-
as you're masking it, you can't get help. Because
No.
then you have to admit there's something going on with you, and God
Yeah.
forbid others find out.
And the thing that I hate the most is when people tell you, like when people find out that I have depression, anxiety, they're always like, oh, there's always some asshole. Oh, they're not an asshole, but some ignorant person that says, or maybe they're also an asshole. That has nothing to do. One has nothing to do with the other. But
Yeah.
they'll be like, oh, but you don't seem depressed. But you seem so happy. But you seem da, 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 da." Like that's because that's what you're seeing on the outside. Because I've learned over decades to present a face and to get through my day and to do these things, because the other option is what? What is my other option?
There are highly functioning people that suffer from depression. Like, what's that black woman's name? The former Miss USA, the one that jumped to her death.
Oh, I don't remember.
I forgot her name. Think it happened last year. And then if you look from the outside, like she was, she was a Miss USA or something like that. She, practiced law for a while. She had gotten her dream job as one of those like award correspondent people.
Mhm.
And interviewing like big people, like on the outside. She looked very happy. She was very jovial. She's gorgeous, smiled all the time, laughed all the time. And so when you're looking on the outside at her, you think that she's got it all, but
Mhm.
she had been suffering from depression for years and
Yeah.
had a previous suicide attempt. Um,
Yeah.
and she jumped to her death. So we cannot just look at people and assume we know what's going on inside their minds. We do not know.
You can't. And I think women in particular are trained to always be smiling. What is it? Don't you love when a man tells you to smile? Um,
Listen, we
we are
talked about this, didn't
trained.
we,
Yeah.
Alyssa?
Yeah.
That is
We
the
are
one thing,
trained,
yeah, that gets me.
whether we realize it or not, we are trained to put on the best version of ourselves for the public as much as possible.
And sometimes we're also doing it for us,
Mhm.
because we feel like, well, if we just fake happy, maybe the happy will just kind of come.
And that's not how that works. And I think that's why I like
Exactly.
Sad Girl Lit, is because it exposes the actual raw emotions that women have and makes it valid to have those emotions, because it always was valid. But the more,
Mhm.
it's like any kind of representation, the more you see it, the more you are validated, the more you are, you know, you feel validated in yourself. So
Right.
like it's okay to have depressive, sad, even harmful thoughts. What's not okay is to maybe act on them, to do nothing
Mhm.
for them, to but it's okay to have them. That doesn't make you broken or wrong.
Mhm.
But being able to see that and then realize that, you do need to fix that. Like, you can't, it's not a good way to live. And
Right.
so you do need to find a way to cope, but that coping isn't faking.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Good topic. I like it.
Yeah. Well, we got deep.
We
Mm.
did. We did. All right. So, currently reading what we just finished. I would like to go first
You
because
go
I
first.
I have hit a milestone. I think in our previous episode, we were talking about what we're currently reading, and I was working on Tomb of Sand, and I just want to report here today, and this is a big deal, folks.
She
I
did
want to
finish it.
report that I finally finished Tomb of Sand, and I would also like to report that I am very unhappy with what I read. There are times when I read a book and I'm not jiving with it, and I'll just DNF it because nothing is hitting the mark for me. Sometimes books get a little tricky because you may not be vibing with them 100%, but there are bits and pieces that keep you reeled in. It could be
Mhm.
a character or two, it could be the writing. And that's what happened with this big ass book called Tomb of Sand. I wasn't jiving with it 100%, but god darn it, the woman can write. Okay? Trick
Mhm.
number 1. Number 2, there were initially 2 characters that I was really, really invested in, and then a third one came in that I was really invested in, and so I couldn't DNF it because like every 20 or 50 or so pages, she would write something that just kind of like really hit home for me, or that I just completely related to, or I just thought was just so beautifully written. So that, kept me in. And I also I deeply needed to see how things played out for these 3 characters. And I'm just disappointed.
So basically, she tricked you.
I don't
She
know.
she tricked you into reading by leaving enough breadcrumbs of good writing and slightly interesting characters,
Right. It's
but you
just
never got a satisfactory ending.
I feel
You're
like
I'm so scared to read this, and I feel so bad because
and
I'm
I'm
the one who
sorry
was
about
like,
that because we both wanted to read this, I almost wanted to not say anything because you hadn't read it yet,
yeah,
but I was also like, what if she says, "Damn it, why didn't you tell me this?" You know what I mean? I was
uh-huh.
very conflicted about me verbalizing what I felt about this book before you actually dug into it, or at
That's all
least got
right.
halfway into it.
I sat all
So
over whatever book that was.
I know, and now I
House
have the
of Jacob.
desire, and my audiobook's gone. I'm gonna get into it, but I don't know. What I from what I read of the synopsis, because we talked about this book in our episode where we were talking about some of our favorite indie publishers.
Yes,
And for
and
that
I think I
episode,
talked
I read
about it.
most of the synopsis.
I think I also talked about it when we talked about books for women in translation, not women in translation. 12 Women in 12 Countries.
We've talked about this book at least 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure on our episodes.
and if it's bad now, I feel bad.
Right. So I just feel like the story that I was being sold, like I sort of kind of got it, but there was so much filler stuff that just didn't interest me. Now here's the other tricky thing. A part of me wants to read it again. What's going on with me? The other tricky
Why?
I don't know because I feel like maybe I just missed something. I may read this again in like 6 months. So, the other thing is
It sounds like my experience with To Paradise, but my experience with To Paradise, I couldn't tell if it was a hot mess or like a work of genius.
mm,
But I
well,
still don't know how I feel, and I feel like I'm gonna have to read it again.
this is what I'm saying. Now, here the other funny thing is I can't wait to read what this author writes next. I've never had so many conflicting feelings and thoughts about a book, but like I honestly can't wait to see what she writes next. What's happening?
It won't make me laugh too hard. I'm gonna cough up
What
stuff.
have you ever heard me say anything this crazy before about a book and never.
Not really, no. No. Well, I guess now I'm simultaneously intrigued and terrified to read this book now.
Right. And I didn't put any of my tabs in, but I have a lot of pages dog
Dog
eared. Like
eared.
a lot. I, j- I a lot of feelings about this book and this writing. I really can't wait for you to read it. I am dying to know
I will get there at some
your
point.
take on it. Yeah, you
I'm,
don't need
I'm
to rush and get to it. You know what I'm
oh, good. I'm
saying? But
not going to.
maybe if you read it later down, maybe I'll read it with you if you read it later down the line. If not,
Okay.
then I'll just, All right,
All
so
right.
that's there. There we are. Tuma saying I finished. Oh, and that's by
A person.
Jeetan Jolly Shri, translated by Daisy Rockwell. There you have
All right. Um, I'm scared now. So I don't think I've talked about this on the podcast. I know I've talked about it in a blog, but I read Girlhood by Melissa Fabos not
it.
too long ago. I finished it in April sometime, and this book I know got a lot of buzz. We talked about it, I think,
Yes, it
in
did.
one of our videos where we talked about books from 2021 that were on lists, like best books of the year lists.
Mm-hmm.
This book is phenomenal. What did you
Mm-hmm.
do?
I don't know.
We're so out of sorts. We haven't
Continue.
recorded in so long that Naomi can't, she's are you
I can't get it together today. I'm gonna have to take another sip of coffee. I don't know what's happening.
Oh Lord. Okay, we're broken.
Th-
Anyway,
those of you watching, listening to the audio, you may want to watch the uncut video on Alyssa's
you
YouTube channel. Go to
can
our
watch
blog for that.
you can watch Naomi turn her mic into a punching bag. Anyway. So this is a girlhood is like a memoir. And people are showing up at Naomi's house. We are just a shit show today. Um, so who is that?
I think it's grocery delivery.
Oh my God. Okay. So Girlhood is a philosophical treatise, an anthem for women, and a searing study of the transitions into and away from girlhood and towards a chosen self. It's also, somewhat of a memoir. Um, it, as you go through this collection of essays, and it was just, I need to read it. I was listening to it because I was driving around doing a ton of stuff, so I wasn't really sitting down with the text, and I need to go back and read it and mark it up. You should not touch your mic, Naomi. Nothing good's going to happen.
Nothing.
um, but I need to mark it up and really just go in there because she just has some wonderfully brilliant uh, statements on um, and discussions of things like consent and terms I've never really thought of, but I definitely have things that I have done. And now that I have a more concrete term for it, I'm like, oh, like negotiated consent,
Right.
um, which I never really thought about those things that we do when we're like with a guy
Hmm.
or here and there, and all the ways that women actually just negotiate consent into something that they're still uncomfortable with, but is
Right.
less uncomfortable than the original thing that we wanted,
Right.
and how we don't just have this ease of being like, no. And the amount of the part that was really getting me was the stuff that she was talking about with because she's bisexual, and the emotional burden of being a woman in a cis het relationship is just exhausting. Um, Having to be a man's um, lover, emotion, like therapist, mother, friend, confidant, this,
Oh my
that, and the other
gosh.
thing, taking care
Yes.
of a house, taking care of them, the emotional burden of doing that, and how we don't
Every
really
day,
every
day
day.
in and day out.
And I don't think that we talk about that enough. I think when we do talk about it, it gets brushed to the side by a lot of men in particular. Um, and it's exhausting, and having somebody reading somebody eloquently put into words all the frustrations you feel is just beautiful. Like,
Yes.
so I do need to go back and reread it and mark it up because this book was phenomenal. I also didn't realize that she at some point was a dominatrix, and
Oh, that's
and I
interesting.
and I kind of
I
just
kind of
love
like
that.
that.
I kind of just love that. And because if there was ever a kind of sex work that
You know, I have always been very fascinated with people that choose to be a dominatrix. I don't know what it is about that profession that I am so interested in. I would love to interview a dominatrix. I
I
really
mean,
would. I
I'm here for
just
it.
they're when I see them, I just see so much power, and I don't know. I would love to interview
There's
someone who's been
something
doing that for a
very,
while.
like, emotionally attractive for me, I don't know if that makes sense as a
Yes, it
word,
does.
when I see or I read about or I hear about a dominatrix.
Mhm.
Like, that is the kind of it's the same feeling I have when I see, like, beautiful Brazilian women just loving their bodies in tiny bathing suits
Mm.
on the beach, and I'm like, "I
Mhm.
want that much confidence."
Yes. Yeah.
I just want it. I want to be that happy with myself.
If there's a dominatrix out there that would love to come on the show to be interviewed, we would really love to talk to you.
Yes, please.
I think it is a fascinating career. I really do.
I talk about women power, man.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Seriously.
And I would love like, I just would love to know more about, like, the types of clients they have and the things that they've like, because you get a little bit in this, because she does talk about things and, like, things that she gleans from her practice, like, the practice of being a dominatrix, about humanity, men, relationships, all of that. I think there's a lot to be said about, like, and to be learned, maybe not said, but, like, learned from these interactions.
Well, I would like to talk with someone who actually does it because I'd like to know number one, how do you get into it? You know, how do you?
Naomi's gonna take notes.
I'm serious. Like, how do
Where I
you?
get pleather and
Like, what does it actually entail? Because I think I have a very commercial view of what it is. I only know from what I've seen on television.
yeah,
So I would like to hear from an actual, real life dominatrix. Like, what is it actually like?
yeah,
And are there different pieces, all the things? Because I don't really know what it actually means to be and do that
yeah,
outside of what is shown on television, which is very, glossy,
mhm,
and very sexy. So I would love to talk with someone.
and probably not accurate in any way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Um, Also, if anybody has any good, like, memoirs of a dominatrix
Oh,
books,
yes.
that would be great. I would love to dive more into that.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. We did not know we were
Awesome.
going to dominatrix. Okay.
We didn't, but I'm here for that.
Do you like Mercy? She's
No, I love Mercy. She's adorable. I do. I love her. She's just so.
if you wanna see the cuteness, you guys gotta watch the video.
She's so cute. I'm just a baby.
She is just a baby.
I can't.
Get the TikTok
I
songs out of your head.
can't. I'm not even gonna go there right now. All right.
You know how many of those TikToks I've seen since spending the weekend with you and hearing you go, "I'm just a baby." Now the phone was listening, and now I see so many of those.
You're welcome. All right. Are we ready to dive into our sad girl lit book
I am.
recommendations?
I think 2 of my books will be very obvious, and
I know
maybe
what
the
one is, and if you don't choose this one, I'm actually gonna be really surprised, but I'm pretty sure I
no,
know
I
what
think
one
2 of them
is.
will be really we're gonna give you 3 books each, and 2 of them are gonna be really obvious, and the 3rd one is for a second not gonna be obvious, and then I think it will become very obvious after.
Okay.
But you
All
wanna
right.
go first?
Sure. I'm gonna go with one that I don't own, but I wish I did. When did I read this book? It's called Pizza Girl
Oh yes, I wanna read that so bad.
by Jean Kwong Fraser.
Mhm.
And this book came out in 2020. I think I read it last year at the beginning of the year. So Pizza Girl is about 18-year-old young woman who is working at a pizza delivery place. She's not in a good phase of her life. She's pregnant. She's got this boyfriend. I mean, I guess he loves her. Um, her
That's not
father.
promising. I
I
guess
mean,
he loves me.
they're young. You never know how these things turn out. She's grieving the death of her father. She has a very loving mother, and her
Mhm.
mother's boyfriend is also very loving, but she is kind of like in the dumps, not really quite sure, you know, what she's going to do when this baby gets here. 18 pregnant is pretty scary.
Yep.
And, look, she's working at a pizza delivery shop, not a promising career. And what happens is she becomes a little attached and obsessed with this woman in her. not in her neighborhood, but someone she delivered a pizza to. And this woman is a new mom. I think she's like a toddler, and she's married. And the mom's the mom's son is in love with eating pizza, but he only wants pizza that has like pickles on it. And so when she calls the pizza shop and asks about, can you just like add pickles to it?
That's
The
atrocious.
pizza girl is the one who makes the pizza and delivers it to the little boy. And so they form this bond that's really strange because the pizza girl, it's like she's looking for, I don't know, something to fill the emptiness in her. So she has just really latched on to this mother. And at the
Mhm.
same time, the new mom, she also seems a bit lonely because she's also embracing the pizza girl. So it's a very strange kind of relationship that they enter into, but there's like a consistent underlining of sadness throughout that book. And the pizza girl makes some weird choices with how far she decides to go with what she feels for this new mom, and she crosses some lines. So it was a really good read, but Pizza Girl was really sad, and her prospects did not look well, and you kind of worry for her all the way through this book. Is she going to be okay? Is she going to keep the baby? Is she going to give the baby up? At one point, I thought the new mom was going to take the baby. Like, there were so many what ifs roaming around in my head as reading this book because Pizza Girl just did not seem prepared for life at all.
But
It
are
was,
any of us really prepared for life?
some of us are, some of us are not. But
I
Pizza
don't feel
Girl,
like I'm prepared for life.
well, we're getting old, so I mean, I am old, so. But it was a very short book, but it felt a little heavy, but in the best way. It's a
Mhm.
great book.
I wanna read that one
It's
really
only
badly.
208 pages.
I keep thinking of the other books that could be on this list of books, and I sent you there's a Goodreads list that came up when I just Googled "sad girl lit."
Oh, did you put
So
it
I
in
just
our chat?
I
Let me
put
look.
it in
Okay.
our chat for you if you wanna share that, in the show notes for anybody who's looking for, like,
Will
other books.
do.
Um, and I would add if it's not on there, Luster, by the way. I think Luster does fall into sad girl lit because I think that a lot of that our main character's choices are made based on just a
I
lack of
was
direction and depression.
I was going to
Um,
add Lester, but I decided not to.
but I don't think Luster's on that Goodreads list, but it should be. I'm gonna start right at the top with the what should be the one that you know I'm gonna pick first, and that is Normal People,
Oh, that is not what I
because
thought for the first one.
literally
Okay.
any Sally Rooney book is going to be a Sagrolit because Sally Rooney is like our, I don't know, our queen, our current reigning monarch of sad girlness. I don't know. She is, to me, and I'm not going to argue this with anybody. I'm not taking any arguments. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it. You can't argue with me. This just is the way it is. It's facts. Shut up. She is sad girl lit. Like she is our goddess. But like you can't tell me it's not sad girl lit because Marianne, our lovely Marianne, is so just lost in her own self that and so desperate to like feel things and degrade herself that she ends up taking this bent and being and just going into like degrading sex.
Mm.
And I just think that's actually such a really common way to deal with as like as a coping mechanisms because you have like degrading sex the kink and then you have degrading sex the coping mechanism,
Mm.
and those are
Mhm.
not always mutually exclusive. Like, or is that the
Mm.
right way I made it?
Oh
No, those
yeah.
are not all. Like sometimes you just want to feel pain and you just want to feel all the things that you think you want to actually have that outside of like externally to validate all of your internal thoughts, and she goes there, and I think that like that is like the ultimate like checkbox of like, yep, this is now sad girl lit. And the fact that these two characters can never quite get their shit together, and like you can tell that they do really love each other, but they're just not for each other, and but
Oof,
they
that's
keep
hard.
kind of cycling through each other's lives, and and that is like a totally like Sally Rooney and the unrequited, deep, moving love is, I mean, I think that's what she plays at best.
Yeah.
And Uh, I love it, and I'm here for it because I've been there, and it hits all of my heartstrings. And even like I read Mr. Salary, her like little tiny like little
Oh,
short
the book
story
that you
thing.
had last weekend
It's
when you were
cute.
here?
Yeah, I don't know where it is right now. I need to find it. It's tiny, so it's probably tucked somewhere. But yeah, that's like this girl who's sad and has like no mom. Her dad's like dying. She's got to come back from the States and to live with this man that she lived with for a while at some point when like her family life screwed up, and they kind of like he's a little older than her, not like a lot, like it's not creepy, but like he's a little older than her, so it's like enough to be like he's the adult and she's not really an adult
Mm,
completely, but
mhm.
like totally in love with each other, but not really, but you can't be, and all these other things. And yeah, that story needs to be longer. It's really unfortunate that Mr. Salary is so short. But yeah, so it's like she comes back, she's depressed, and instead of dealing with any of her emotions, she just bangs Mr. Salary. So
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
I'm here for it.
That actually sounds good.
Mr. Salary is pretty good,
Yeah.
but very short. So you want it to be a full length novel.
Interesting.
And like, no, normal people's not all about degrading sex, but I feel like that moment when she first dives into that route is like that seals her path into being like the sad
Oh, I
girl,
see.
like a hundred
Mhm.
percent. Like you're like, yep, you're not. This isn't a phase. You are the sad girl. Boom. Like
Wow. Okay. Sometimes you make me want to read normal people, but then the feeling fades quickly, and I don't know why. But I just wanted to put that out there.
what do you mean the feeling fades?
I don't know because like in the moment, like right now, I want to read it, and then I'll be like, do I? every every time you talk about normal people, I want to read it, and then like hours later, I'm like, or maybe a day, I'm like, no, I don't want to read that. Maybe I'll get the
I feel
audiobook one
like you
day.
need to just read it. And Beautiful People, Where Are You? Or Beautiful World, Where Are You? Not Beautiful
Hmm.
People.
That's the
Beautiful-
latest one, yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that one you might really like because it's a little different than her other books in structure, and I really it feels more semi autobiographical than some of the other books because the one character that's like this writer, um, she writer, yes, this writer feels like it's her.
Interesting.
It might not be, but like when you're reading it, it feels like
That's what everybody
it
says.
would be Sally
Every
Rooney.
review I've heard, they say that.
Yeah. And the letters between the two women in between,
Hmm.
um, and the commentary it makes on all kinds of things from like the environment to like art to like love to all these things. I think I mean, she's brilliant.
Interesting.
I would like to see her and Donna Tartt have a conversation, frankly,
Oh, okay.
because I just feel like they're both incredibly intelligent women, and I
Hmm.
would love to see them talking to each other. I just like would like to see them in conversation, talking about art and literature and all of that.
Right. Hmm. All right. I'd be here for that.
So I'm gonna put that out
I
in
do
the
like Donna Tartt.
I'm gonna put that out in the world. I want to see that in conversation.
Maybe Sally Rooney can interview Donna Tartt whenever she puts out her next book. That will be cool.
I don't think that the problem is I think they're both like powerhouses of female writers, and I don't think that one needs to interview the other. I feel like you would need like
I mean, they could just talk.
not like Oprah, but like you would need like like a mediator of like literary Oprah
I
status
don't
to
think
put them in the room
so. I
together.
think I like to see two giants just having a conversation. I think that would be lovely.
What if they hate each other? We're just gonna make up rumors now. What if they hate each other?
Oh,
Wouldn't that be funny?
would it be? I don't
I
know.
don't know. I feel like it could be funny. I don't know. I'm just imagining scenarios in my head where you have like I'm just
Is
making
Sally Rooney an older woman or a younger woman? Oh, okay. Hmm. Anyway, join in on the speculation, folks.
start make your own rumor.
All right, my second book I have talked about before. It's called Creatures by Chrissy Van Meter.
Hmm.
Such a surprising little book. Just don't pay attention to this cover because it has nothing to do with the story, which is how I passed up on this book the first time around. So, what is our main character's name? Um, I don't remember her first name. I read this a while ago, and the details are dicey. But you have this young girl who is in the care of her father because her mother has just checked out. I don't know. I forgot. I got speculation on if the mother just was not interested in being a mother, or if she was dealing with her own set of mental health issues. I'm not really sure, but she's very much in and out of their lives. So this young girl, if I could just remember her name, that would be helpful. She doesn't have like any stability. Although she's in the care of her father is wild. He is a party guy. He's sleeping around. He's selling weed. Like he is like not your, typical, stable dad. He's like a teenager in a grown man's body doing he's like a rock star. He lives that kind of a life. So she doesn't have any rules or barriers or boundaries or anything like that. Like at home, it's kind of like a free for all. She's definitely seeing too much as someone so young. She's hearing too much. She's being exposed to entirely too much. And I think
Hmm.
it like exasperates what she's feeling, almost like the grief of her mom because she's just gone, and also this desire to be wanted by her mom, and also like wanting to be paid attention to by her dad. She's kind of dealing with a lot of emotions, and she doesn't really have anyone to talk about it with. Dad's not available because he's too busy having a good old time. And so she's doing things that she should be doing at a very young age because I think she has a lot of sad energy that she's trying to redirect, but she just has no idea how to do it. And with the mom being gone so long and then popping back up here and there, it just sends her and really the entire family reeling emotionally. The dad
Hmm.
really does love his kids, but he's just that party kind of a dude, right? He's just not the kind of dad that's going to be your typical, like dad that you see on TV.
Yeah.
So she's really lacking a lot in the parental aspect. And she has no one to really help her through her anxiety, her fears, her deep sadness, her feeling of abandonment. And this book was way more heavy and extremely touching than I thought it was going to be. It was a wonderful, surprisingly good book. I think about it all the time. And it's been like almost
I
a
really
couple
do need to
years.
read that one. And that cover is just so, they all just all look like penises.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, another short one. This book is only 200 and 241 pages.
I do feel like a lot of sad girl lit is on the shorter side. And I wonder
Yeah.
if that's because if you read like a 700-page novel about it, would it crush you?
Well, there's yeah.
Is it like a little life? Like would
Yeah.
it just destroy you? And that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, Sally Rooney is 31. I didn't think she was old, but I didn't know
Oh,
quite how
okay.
old she was. And now I'm like, what have I done with my life? Nothing. Uh,
Let's not go down that road. Okay, 31. Wow.
makes me feel better. We're both in our fourth decade now.
Right. She finally got there. She finally got there. All right.
The fact that there are people that were never alive in like the 80s just hurt me. Okay. Um,
Don't do it to yourself. Don't do it.
Sometimes I think about our friend Emma and I'm like, oh yeah, surely. And then I remember that she wasn't even born in the 90s.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, she must know this song. No,
No.
no, she wasn't even a glimmer.
No. Yeah.
Like the
Just
sperm wasn't even made
right
yet.
over her head. She doesn't know. It's fine. It's fine.
Oh god, sorry, old lady moments. This one's the one that yeah.
Yes. I knew
Okay.
you're going to talk about that one.
So probably the most predictable is going to be My Year of Rest and Relaxation. For those of you who can't see me holding it up in the video, by Otessa Moshfegh. And I mean, I've talked about this so much, and I think this is like a quintessential, especially like white millennial upper middle class girl,
Mhm.
sad girl lit book. But I mean, I just remember being like 25, living in, well, I was still living in Manhattan at the time. But I remember being young in my 20s, living in Manhattan, not really having direction, but like having been set up to be incredibly successful, or the potential to be incredibly successful, and just kind of the general malaise of, how do I even do all of this? Do I want to do
Mhm.
all this? What is all this? And like, I mean, I didn't go down a route of just taking all the drugs in the world, but
That was nuts.
but there's definitely, like, I've had those thoughts where you wish you could just take a year off, basically be comatose or whatever, just like disconnect completely from every stimuli, everything, and just almost like, what are those tanks you sit in that I can't sit in because I'm claustrophobic? Those
I know you're
those
talking
water
about.
tanks.
Mhm.
Like you just kind of want to like can I do that for like a year, and can I come back out, and like maybe then I'll want to deal with all these things,
Oh
right?
God, I have thoughts.
What? What?
Because I read this book, right? And I was like, this sounds terrible to me. Like I would I had so many like out loud
I felt so
snarky
bad for the friend
comments
though. She
about
was
this
so
book.
mean to her friend. She was so mean to her friend.
That friend was irritating.
Yes, but she was so mean to her though.
Well, she should be less irritating. I couldn't take that friend. She's like a hanger on. You know what I mean? She secretly is like kind of jealous of her. She wants what she has. She was
But she's
very
the only
irritating.
person other than that dude that ever even
I
like
would
checked
rather
on
have no
her.
one than that girl. I would rather have no one. She was like at the height of irritation for me. Yeah, yeah. But as she's talking about like checking out, for this year, just being, you know, on drugs that just allow her to sleep, I'm like, this sounds like a fucking terrible idea. Why would you want to do this?
I
I've
would
never
love it.
talked out loud so much for a book. It was, I don't know. And I still am like trying to like sort out my feelings about that book because her little, some stuff I was like, is she racist? I was very confused about a
Yes,
lot of
the
things.
whole book, like, I'm not, I every okay. There's a lot of things to not like about the book. That's not part of our discussion. Uh, I just related to the general feelings of the story because, like, I've been there. Like, I've been so depressed that I just kind of want to like hide
Hmm.
and not deal with any of the stuff. And if I could take a year and just not do anything, I would. There have been many times where I've been that low where I'm just like, nope,
But
I don't want
see,
to engage with life at all. I don't want to die,
I
but
feel
I
like,
don't want to engage with humanity at all. How many times do I tell you, Naomi, I just want to build a yurt in the woods and become a
yes,
hermit, and that's the end
yes,
of it?
you do say that. But like she wanted to be asleep
Yeah, I know.
every day, like for a year.
But it's escapism. It's not having like the mental bandwidth to deal with anything.
That thought of being asleep for a year made me feel mentally trapped. It like almost sent me into an anxiety attack thinking about that. That does not sound relaxing to me. That's why I like this book because it was such opposition for what I was
Yeah.
thinking and how she was trying to like justify like fixing herself. The thought of being asleep for a year almost sends me into like real life anxiety. I cannot imagine doing that.
But
That's for me,
therapist,
that's the opposite of relaxing. Also, I was like the whole time, this girl needs real therapy because these
that
crackpots you're
therapist
going to,
was it's like
whew,
criminal level. And
a crackpot.
but it's such a good book.
It
You
is a
can
good book.
nitpick it, and
It
you
is a
could
good book.
say, you can pick on things and you can make them issues, or you can just look at it as a whole and like realize that you are feeling all sorts of feels while reading this book.
That's why I
And
liked it. I liked it. And I like it because I keep questioning it.
mhm.
I don't know. Sometimes I like being, agitated by a book in that way.
And none of the characters are particularly likable.
No.
And that's not the point.
No, not at all. I'm hearing an echo of myself now for some reason.
I don't
I'm
know.
gonna have to cut this part out of me saying this. Continue. I'm sorry.
You've been beating the shit out of your mic, so
I haven't touched it. It's fine. I
okay.
didn't do it.
I'm just a
Do it.
baby.
I'm just a baby.
All right, what do you
Yeah.
got? What do you got for your third and final book?
I'm gonna hold this book up and y'all are gonna say, God damn it, there she goes again with this book. And you
Oh
know
god.
what? I am not sorry about it. Yes,
You
it's
Coco's?
Cleopatra and Frankenstein, okay?
It's on the list. I saw it. I was like, she better
It's on
put
a
this book
list
on.
for
It's
Sad
on the
Girl
list
Lit?
I sent you.
Oh my God. So let me explain why I'm saying this is Sad Girl Lit. So Cleo is a very sad young woman. She lost her mother and her father got remarried. The stepmom, the father's wife, really is a horrible person, but also her father is a horrible person. And it doesn't seem like anyone ever really helped Cleo to deal with the loss of her mother. And so she ended up, leaving her family and she's been
Oh,
carrying around all this grief and she's really fallen under the weight of this grief and this depression and she's in a place in her life where she wants to be an artist, she's trying to be an artist, and things aren't really going her way, and she meets this man Frank and they get married, and it allows her to stay in the United States, and
mhm.
she loves him, and I think that she thinks that what they have is good, and it does present to be good in the beginning, but because of the fact that Frank is also um dealing with things from his childhood that he never um, found healing for, he's got his own set of issues, one of which is like real alcoholism. And also, he has this advertising business that's really, really doing well. So he's constantly at work. He's not around. They're never together. And so, not only is she just alone in general in her grief, but she's also alone now in her marriage when she thought she would actually have like a real life partner. So she's grieving, she's lonely, she's depressed, she's very confused and uncertain about her career as an artist. As a matter of fact, when she gets married, now she's creating less art and
Aw.
everything for her is just spiraling out of control so quickly. And she makes some pretty damning mistakes in this book they were awful. So that's what I'm going to say about that because I don't want to spoil other things that happen with her, but she's definitely sad girl.
I do need to read that. I do. I have it now. I can read
Mhm.
it. Like, I got to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
I still haven't figured out what I'm reading in May because this vacation is throwing me off because it's like I want to read this, then I want to read that, and I don't know
Mhm.
what I want to read.
All the things.
Ah, and I can't bring all the books to the Dominican with me.
No, you can't. No, you can't.
So anyway, so my final book might be a little off the wall. Hello, Mercy. Pause. Look at your pause. Look at your pause. She's not looking.
Hi, Mercy.
So, Han Kang's vegetarian.
Mm.
So this book is phenomenal. And we've talked about this before, and you all
Mhm.
need to read it. It is also strange and weird, and I love it. Um, and why I think this fits is because this talks so much about um, psychotic breaks and uh, relationships around somebody who's having a psychotic break and mental health and
Mm.
how we deal with mental health or not deal with it. And um, it's much more, I don't want to say clinical, but like clinical in a way
Mhm.
than say like my year of rest and relaxation is a little bit more literary, right? Like this is literary, but you really go into the character's mind when she's like freaking out and like can't smell meat and can't be around meat and like all this stuff. So basically, uh, you have two sisters, and one of them is married to this man who's sort of like a mediocre man. And one day she just kind of breaks and like she just can't even smell meat. She can't look at meat. So she stops like eating meat and then she stops eating like really pretty much anything at all. And it's a slow progression. And then her relationship stops. Like she can't even smell him because he like smells like meat. And like there's all kinds of other stuff that happens with the sister and her spouse, and just rapid spiral into
Yeah.
just chaos and mental anguish and all this stuff. And the sister does end up in like a psych ward, and there's all kinds of interactions that then happen with her sister and her brother-in-law, her ex-husband, all these things. And it's just it makes you feel like viscerally while you're reading it. You're just like, it's I don't know, it's emotional, and I loved it. It was so good. I don't want to say too many things. I don't want to spoil some of like the really impactful moments,
Yes.
but there's just so many things that happen as this person is just breaking and breaking and breaking before she gets to a point where anybody even does anything about it. Because everybody's just kind of like brushing off some things in the beginning, and like almost like it's a phase she'll get out of it. And they're not picking these things up as
Yeah.
clues to her breaking. And I think that that happens so often with the people around you,
Hmm.
where maybe it's not as dramatic as this, but there's lots of little things that will change in our behavior. And when you're really close to somebody, maybe you don't see it because you're either denying it or you just don't see it because you're too close to it, the
Yeah.
situation. But when you go back in hindsight, you're like, oh, well, there was this, that, and this and that. And these things seemed
Hmm.
really innocuous. But now that I know what I know, they really weren't. They were warning signs of, something else that was going on. And again, maybe it's not as dramatic as the vegetarian is,
Right.
but it's like people go through things. I was you were talking. So basically, the vegetarian, the lady just ends up like not eating at all, and they have to like force her to eat and stuff. So like it's just this progression from like I'm not gonna eat this one thing to like whatever, and it's all related to like mental illness and stuff. And we're talking about a patient. Somebody was telling me a story about a patient they had had years ago, and the patient was like younger and catatonic and all this stuff. And the parents were like, "Oh my God, he hasn't, he's been catatonic for years and all this stuff. He's got like a peg tube. He's not eating. He's not doing anything. Apparently, he doesn't move. He just stares at the ceiling." And apparently, he was like totally not catatonic. So
Huh?
like he was just messing with his parents. Like something had happened to him
Whoa.
in college, and he had like these things happen. That's my point. It's like these things happen. No, they're not happening every day, but this level of
Wait a minute.
break
Continue the
happens.
story. He was just.
Oh, so apparently, like while he was staying in the hospital, since he was there for a while, all these things kept happening. Like the mother would be like, he hasn't gone to the bathroom in days. He hasn't had a bowel movement, yada, yada, yada. And they would check him everywhere, scan him, CT, whatever, look him. There's no poop in this man. And then they realized that he's been getting up and going to the bathroom. Um, he took his feeding tube out, like of his belly, and like hid it in the room somewhere. And they were looking for it. And, but like, so the people in the hospital were aware after a while of him staying there that he was in some way, shape, or form messing with his parents.
Oh my gosh.
But his parents were fully convinced that he was 100% catatonic.
What in the world?
And it just made me think of the freaking vegetarian because this lady she has had this psychotic break, and like she is going down this thing. And like, yeah, people do break like this. Like
Yeah.
something happened to him in whatever, like his college years. And then from that point forward, this is what he was. And for some reason, and I don't know if when he came back, I mean, I don't know. It's not my patient. I have no idea. This is like an old story, but like like, I don't know if like when he was awake, and because I don't know if he did it in front of anybody, like, was he like you and me normal talking to each other?
Right.
Or was he still like, was he just so messed up, but he wasn't actually catatonic. Like he would
Right.
do things like I have so many questions.
That's
But
nuts.
there's people that
Okay.
have these
Yeah.
breaks where they just absolutely 100% they mentally just break. And yeah, so definitely
Wow.
like high level sad girl to the
Yeah.
vegetarian.
I am saving The Vegetarian to read in August for Women in Translation Month. So I
Yeah,
am very excited to dig into that.
it's really good. Human X is also very good. You can probably do what I did last year and read all
Mhm.
three,
Yeah.
and the White Book sort of all together because they're very short.
Yeah. Oh, I
So
think
yeah.
we had some really good sad girl lit book recs.
Yeah, and we could put that, like, Goodreads list in the show notes if you want, because I
Yeah.
think that it's a nice little list of stuff, and I don't think it's on there, but I did finish, Very Cold People recently,
Oh, that
and
one's been talked about so much. Did
I
you
think
love
that could
it?
definitely I don't know if I loved it, but I really liked it.
Okay.
Um, it could have been a little longer, could have dug in a few places, but it was definitely very interesting, and I liked it. I don't have anything really truly negative to say about it. I didn't, like, knock it out of the park, you know?
Yeah.
But no, it was I like books like that. So, like, our that's definitely could fall into sad girl, I think, because there's a lot of stuff that's going on there. There's a lot of introspection and, like, realizing that the world isn't exactly what you thought it was, and that everybody has these secrets, and there's traumas, and there's all kinds of things going on behind closed doors. So,
So here's what I want to say, because I'm just now realizing something. So I, j- my three, all the girls are white. So I'm realizing I don't think there's much sad girl lit where the sad girl is a woman of color. I don't think so. And that's probably because, like, in real life, we're not like afforded um the space or the freedom to just
be
be
sad.
sad. And so most of the books that I have where there's like a sad black girl, it is very much attached to some kind of a racial trauma.
Mhm.
Not just sad because she's sad. And that goes back to, like, what I say all the time, like, just give me a book where the characters are black, but, like, it's just regular, like, everyday life. Don't
You want
always give
regular
me
sad black
right,
girls.
don't always give me this trauma-filled story. So if anyone has any sad girl lit book recommendations where the sad girl is a woman of color and her sadness is not
Related
tied
to
to
racism.
a racial trauma, please DM us on Instagram at TBR Lowdown, or leave a comment on our website for this episode. We would love to know, because I'd be very curious to see what's out there. But my suspicions tell me it ain't much or it's none.
Just looking at this list here, there are a few Asian authors in the mix. But yeah, mostly it's just white people. Honey Girl is on this, which I guess I can see, but feels a slight stretch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know. Honey Girl made me cry my fucking eyes out, so maybe.
Yeah. That being said, if you don't know, we do have a bookshop.org shop. We've got several book lists on there. We also have a list on there because at the end of every show we give you two book recommendations. So there's a list. There's a list solely for that on our bookshop page, and based off of today's episode, we will create a sad girl lit list as well. So
Yeah.
you can get to that link from our website tbrlowdown.com.
The only other thing in here would be Catherine House by Elizabeth Thomas, but I don't know if I would categorize this as sad girl house. If I'm just looking at, like, the one list I found, it's not definitive, obviously, but I don't know if I would classify that as sad girl. I think
Oh, I thought that was something else completely.
that's like dark academia, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe it could be sad girl, but I don't know. That one just doesn't feel like Honey Girl. It just doesn't feel like it fits in what my maybe I just have maybe there's a maybe let us know also what you think of when you hear sad girl lit too.
Yeah, because
Because
it could be
yeah,
that they're thinking that it's just something that made them feel sad when reading it. And,
yeah.
and versus where you're saying you're talking about the actual character being a sad girl, not just you
Hmm.
feeling sad from what you read. So that may be the distinction there as to how people are labeling
Yeah.
sad girl books.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if these things have, like, official definitions, so, like,
We just make shit up.
yeah.
We,
I
I
mean,
say we,
everything is
as
made
in
up.
the collective of readers out there. We just make stuff
Everything
up.
is made
Yeah.
up. The whole world is made up. The world is are we even real? I don't know.
I don't know.
Um,
I don't know.
but anyway, what do you got for a book recommendation,
Oh
Naomi?
my goodness. I have a wonderful debut novel Thank you, Knopf, for sending me this book. It is called Groundskeeping by Lee Cole. Mr. Lee Cole, I don't know you, but I love you.
I don't know you.
I don't know you, but I love you. This was an outstanding debut novel. So we're following a young man. His name is Owen, and Owen is an aspiring writer. And things aren't
Hmm.
going so well for him, so he moves back to Kentucky to live with his grandfather and his uncle, who are both Trump supporters. So it gets interesting. So he takes a job as a groundskeeper at a local community college in exchange for being able to enroll in this writing class. And while he's there, he meets this wonderful woman. Her name is, what is her name? Her name is
Sorry,
Alma.
I'm distracted by running hemming.
Her name is
Yeah.
Alma. Now, Alma is an actual writer in residence. You know, she's got some works that have already been published. She has an Ivy League education. She comes from a very liberal Bosnian immigrant family. And so she's a total opposite of Owen. And as they begin to know one another, you know, they have feelings for one another. She's dating someone else that's also in this cohort of writers, so that gets a little dicey, but they end up figuring it out and they begin a relationship together. And it really is very sweet. She adores him, he adores her, but his feeling that he's not where he should be in his life. You know, he's kind of wasted his earlier 20s just kind of dicking around, and he's really trying to get it together now. But there is an insecurity in him, like, I'm living with my grandfather and my uncle. You know, I don't have anything of my own. I'm not making a lot of money as a groundskeeper, but I really want to make something of myself, but I kind of can't get out of my own way of not feeling worthy enough. That kind
Hmm.
of gets in the way of him and Alma, especially when he eventually meets her family. You know, it's a very different relationship than he has with his family. Her parents, again, like, they're very liberal, they're very loving. Um, they're pretty well off. You know, they have not had the struggle as Leah's had to do, and so they're. It's almost like, it's not that he's embarrassed per se. It did feel like there's like a tinge of jealousy there when he's looking at Alma and her family and what they have and her position. And so Alma also is dealing with learning little by little of what what Owen has done in his life, trying
Hmm.
drugs, hanging out with the wrong crowd, because she did not grow up that way. So they're both kind of looking at each other with skepticism as to what their lives could be like if they carry on this relationship with one another. And that is constantly getting in the way of their potential as a couple, as much as they love each other. And so that's all I'm going to say, because I think anything else would be giving away much of the story. But I
No
thought it was
spoilers.
beautifully written. I loved Owen. I love Alma. And I love the grandfather. That uncle, he is your, you know, your typical, you know, conspiracy loving Trump supporter that you see on TV. He very much nailed that role in this book. But I kind of devoured this story, Groundskeeping by Lee Cole.
Is that out? That when did that come out?
This either came out this month or in April.
Okay,
It's
but it's out.
wonderful. Hmm.
I'm going to, and I can't remember if I've ever talked about this, but we're going to do it again, if that's the case, and that's Lakewood by Megan Giddings. I want to say
I think you have
Giddens.
one time.
Um, and what I hate is that on the front it says reminiscent of Jordan Peele's terrifying film Get Out, because
Oh,
there's,
ugh.
I think everyone's tired of that comparison.
Yeah.
But what this is a thriller that is set around the idea of, or around the fact that we have a history in this country of experimenting on black bodies. So it's this town that where all these black bodies are being experimented on, and your character is kind of waking up to realizing what her reality really is,
Hmm.
and the world around her, and it is like haunting and terrifying. And like, in what was that Alyssa Cole book?
Oh, when no one is watching?
There we go. You know, like
Mhm.
when the character keeps going by the old hospital and there's that
Yes.
guy. It feels like the author took that moment and made a book about it.
Mhm.
And without making an allusion to it, it digs into it. And I think that it is both like a excellent thriller and like haunting and unsettling while also being informative and shedding light on something that we just don't talk about enough.
Mhm.
Um, and especially when I was reading this, we were talking about, getting vaccinated and all of that. And there is, when you have this history of experimenting on minorities and medically treating them very differently,
Yeah.
when you understand that, you can then understand why some people have hesitancy around new experimental things
Mhm. Absolutely.
because nobody wants to be the guinea pig. And that when you have that kind of knowledge, it should help you change the way that you talk to people, the way that you educate people, the way that you inform people about things like getting vaccinated,
Yeah.
for a disease. Instead of just being mad at people, it's understanding maybe why there's hesitancy. Why are you not wanting
Mhm.
to trust something that somebody else feels should be trustworthy?
Absolutely.
Well, now you have like we can write thrillers about it. So like it's
Yep.
but really good. Not enough people, I think, talk about it, and I would really
Yeah.
like to see more more of her writers writing. Her writers. I want to see more of her writers. Her little room of writers. I want to see more of her writing. This is a debut. I'd love to see what else she comes out with next. And yeah, I just wish more people would talk about it on the Bookstagram. So yeah,
Good one.
it's
I love it.
interesting.
I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah,
Well, this was a good show.
a really good show.
A
What was that?
really good show.
What is that from?
I don't know. I
I
don't
need more
know.
coffee.
Give us your recommendations and yeah, we yes, give us all the things. Give us any sad girl lit recommendations. If the sad girl is a woman of color, I would love that. And let us know if you've read any of the books we talked about today or if you plan to read any of them.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
And
it.
leave a review because we
Leave a
do love
review.
reviews, and the reviews
Yes.
do help us get boosted up in all the algorithms and things.
Yes, please leave a review. We often get DMs or comments like, "Oh, we love the show. I love the show." We would really appreciate a review. It would help us out so much.
Yes,
So much.
like on the iTunes or the iHeartRadio or the whatever
Yes.
wherever you are.
Yes, the spot. Wherever you listen to us, please leave a review. Although I sometimes I hear people say just go to leave a review on Apple. I don't really understand how all that works. Like they're saying like it only matters if it's on Apple. I don't know. I just say wherever you listen, leave a review.
I mean, I listen to most of my podcasts on Apple, so
Oh, you do? I don't. I'm a Stitcher
yeah.
girl.
Yeah, you send me things on Stitcher, and I'm like, yeah, I can't access this.
Oh,
And
yeah,
then,
I'm a Stitcher girl. Okay. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. We got to go, folks. Bye.
bye.